YouTube channel subscribers. It is me, Kiwani, and I am here with guess who? Look, y'all. It's Mr. Murray. I'm no longer mad at him, so I could do a mouth muscle with him today. I know it's Friday, but we're here. Okay, so today, Mr. Murray and I wanted to come to you all and talk about how can we develop or understand the need for a healthy competition, because there is such a thing, healthy competition amongst friends, family, associates, whoever, co-workers, it could be anybody, and determining what is unhealthy competition. Okay, so Mr. Murray, we're gonna start the conversation off today by talking about, if you had to say there was a such thing as healthy competition and unhealthy competition, how would you define it? And we're talking about, just kind of what happens amongst friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, associates, all of that. What is healthy? What do you consider healthy competition and unhealthy competition?
It's a fine line between healthy and unhealthy anything. When you talk about competition amongst family or friends, I like to switch the viewpoints to look at it as what are they doing that we can possibly do as well to make it better for our situation without looking competitive with somebody else's situation. One of the classic examples that I can come up with was growing up on the east side of Detroit. I've always had this unknowing competition with my older brother. I figured if he get a car with 2 doors, I had to go get a car with 4 doors.
Mm-hmm.
If he got a job making $10, I was going to try to get a job making $9. But I've always tried to follow in those steps because I wanted to do something better.
Wait, you said if he making $10, you gonna go get a job with $9?
I was trying to make more, but sometimes you have to settle for what they give you. You can't be picky when you ain't got nothing. It's either $9 or you sit your butt at home and don't do nothing. So when he went away to the Navy, and it came down to it, I had a choice between following his footsteps and going to the Navy or going to college. So I decided to go to college because I had a conversation with my mother. He in turn didn't really tell Mama what he was doing. He just said, "Mom, I'm gone, I'll be going to the Navy, I'll holler at you." I had a conversation with Mom because I said, let me try to do something different, hoping that it'll be better, but it was still something productive. Because back in our day, you had to go to college or the military. That was it. Those were only 2 choices. You wasn't getting a job. Go to college or go to the service. So when he went, I went to college. He came back and stayed with Mom for a little while, which that was it because he was getting ready to get married. Their house wasn't ready. I had to go through some things. So I left. I never had to come back and stay with Mom.
Okay.
I came back to visit, but I didn't have to, and then I went and got my own place.
Okay.
His house he got was originally, his first house, I think it was a 3-bed, 1 bath. I got a 3-bed, 2 bath.
Okay, well,
So
let me ask you this.
I've always tried to, and I feel because in my eyesight, my brother was always successful in that he did
Okay.
everything. So I tried to emulate it, but I always had a desire to try to do it better. Sometimes
Okay.
I just fell short.
So, in other words, he was an inspiration to you. What you saw him doing, you were proud of him. You
I
felt
didn't know if
like
I
he
was. I didn't know if I was proud of him at the time because I didn't know what to call him.
Okay, well, you just saw him as an inspiration. This is the benchmark. This is what it is. I need to meet that or do better. And
Right.
it caused you to want to do something because you knew that you needed to you're looking at your brother as a benchmark for what you considered successful, I guess, or what you thought was productive,
that was one area. I mean, there's many that come to mind. Even when I went to college, my roommates, we were 3 amigos.
Okay.
Myself, James, and Clarence Truitt.
Okay.
Truitt was the brainiac of the bunch.
Okay.
James has OCD then, still has OCD now.
Okay.
And I was just in the middle for entertainment purposes.
Okay, but okay, so now, when we say that these people were, because I feel the same way, I feel like there is a such thing as healthy, and I don't know if competition is the right word, but these people that you see doing something inspire you to want to do something, or, you know, they encourage you, even if they don't say anything to you, just watching their actions, you're encouraged by them to want to be better and to want to do something more for yourself. And so it's kind of like an inspiration, but it becomes, what would you say makes it a competition? Like, when people say healthy competition, when does it become a healthy competition? Like, I know, for example, like, say you're trying to try out for a track team, or you're trying to be a football player or something like that. Your brother's pretty fast, and to help you to be quicker, or to get your, what it called, the 40, whatever, what the race called, the 100-meter dash, whatever they call. He knows that you're trying to improve in that, and I'm just using your brother as an example. And he'll say, come on, we finna go out here and race. It's a competition because you're racing, and he's trying to get you to beat him because he wants you to improve your own timing or whatever it is, or he's trying to get you to improve your form or whatever. So although he's racing you and he want to win, but he don't want to win, because in the end, the goal is to help you be a better runner. Like, would that be considered like healthy competition? That's like,
I think one of the best things that come to mind, and this is a story that we all seen, a movie we all saw, the movie of Rocky.
mm-hmm.
When Apollo Creed and Rocky fought each other
Mhm.
initially, Rocky eventually beat Apollo Creed,
Mm-hmm.
but then years later, it was Apollo Creed that was trying to train Rocky to get ready for a competition against, I forget who it is, I
Right.
think, Clubber Lang. And the episode that I went to was, I think about when they were on the beach running. They was running, and
Mhm.
Apollo was like, come on, Rock, come
Mhm.
on. And he kept beating Rocky every time running.
Right. Right.
And that competition was there, but it wasn't negative, because Creed, though he had retired and sort of moved off the scene, he wanted Rocky to take the torch and keep running on to become better, to improve what he had done, to make it even better. So I don't think, that in that case, that wasn't negative competition.
Right.
I think that was somebody passing on the mantle or the torch to say, hey,
Right.
it's your turn. Kirk Franklin said something on one of these award shows that he got an award, and he said, listen, I done had my time.
Mhm.
It's time for us to pass this mantle on to the other generation that's coming behind,
Okay.
to let them run on and be the next music, whatever. So,
Okay.
but what becomes negative is when you know you don't reach the top, but you don't want to get off the top, and everybody else that's trying to reach it for the top, you push them down or knock them down because you don't want to relinquish the throne.
Okay. So the negative part of the competition comes in where somebody is refusing to relinquish, or they don't want anybody to pass them or be better than them, or to break their record, or to
It's always
whatever.
stuff like that. Somebody
That
don't
makes
want.
it negative.
Yeah, it makes it negative because nobody can rule forever. LeBron James exceeded Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record.
Mhm.
He couldn't be on top of Mount Rushmore forever, so he congratulated him for reaching it, especially when you put in the time. It's just like anything. Even at my current job, I welcome one of these young fellas to come along, or young ladies come along and take this mantle. I done took us as far as I can go
Mhm.
with what I know how.
Mhm.
It's time for me to move off the scene and let somebody else come along and take this thing further than what it is. Because if not, then it becomes about you and not about the overall mission or the mandate that God has laid out for you. So when it's about you, it's gonna crumble because you reached your mountaintop, but you just don't recognize it because you're too stubborn to get off and let somebody else come along and run with it.
In the last segment, I was talking about pride and how sometimes we allow pride in a negative sense, because pride can be a good thing too, but we were talking about it in a negative sense, and how some people will allow their pride to keep them from making a decision that not only helps them to grow or that benefits them, but it may stop those around them from growing as well, or it may keep others from being able to move forward because they're, like for example, on a team. I gave the example of being on a team, and people who are successful always wanting to have people on their team who are smarter than them or know a little bit more than they know, because that helps the team to continue to flourish and grow, because there's knowledge always coming in to the team, and you have to be comfortable in that as a leader, or as a successful person, having people around you that are willing to pour into you because they have knowledge you don't have, and they are, they're willing to teach you something and help you to grow. And that makes a good leader when you can do that. Now, when you're talking about competition, what happens in our communities, and we were talking about this earlier today, me and my girlfriends, and we wanted to do this segment, but it didn't happen that way, and I'm talking to you, but it's like, in our community, for example, we tend to not, we get information, we tend to not want to share it. And now you know something and I know something, we know the same thing, but I don't want your business to be better than my business, so I'm not going to share anything new that I've learned. But now I try to keep your business from being better than my business, or I know information that can help both of our businesses to grow, but I ain't going to share it with you because I want my business to be better than your business. And it becomes negative competition. It becomes, like you said, more about the individual than it is about the community. And so we were talking about investments and why is it that other nationalities tend to be able to pool their resources and grow their community and grow their wealth and all of these things, and we seem to not be able to do it. Is it because we're too busy competing with each other as opposed to supporting each other when it comes to businesses and being knowledgeable of things in our community? Would you say that's an issue?
I'm going to go back, because I was going to my Bible, and I don't want y'all listeners to think I was just looking off.
Always in that Bible.
I got to find the Bible. Matthew chapter 15. When you get the time, read it. It talks about this Canaanite woman that went to Jesus on behalf of her daughter because her daughter was demon possessed. The point that I want to make is, if you have to do a breakdown study on the Canaanite woman and Jesus being a Jew. She didn't let her pride get in the way. She went to the master who could do something about the situation and begged him to come and heal her daughter. And in the midst of all of that, the disciples decided to say, Jesus, send that woman away. She keeps coming after us. And what I found out is that sometimes you can have the wrong people in the crowd because they start saying that Kiwani is just coming after us. Well, Kiwani wasn't talking to them in the first place. She was talking to the head. But the rest of those so-called busybodies started whispering stuff that ain't had nothing to do with it. And so because of her persistence, she kept going to Jesus. And I say that to say, you and I and we have to swallow pride. I don't care, and you know this, Juanita, and I know I'm going into it, and that, this past week, I was in pain, y'all. I was in pain. And I didn't have time to be begging or be smart or whatever. I didn't care if they would have rubbed some mud and put it in to make me feel better. I lost all pride because I didn't have no pride when it came to me hurting. I wanted Jesus to come and do something about my situation. Too many of us feel like we've arrived and we don't want to turn around and share the knowledge or the wealth with somebody else because you're going to do better than I did. So you're going to take my job and make my job better than what it was and then make it look like I didn't do nothing all along. Well, that's what succession is all about. You taking it to higher heights than I can.
Right.
If I got something, and this is even today, I thank God that I'm not we're not selfish people, that we can't stand to see somebody else blossom and be better off than we are. What does that take away from me?
Right.
That's a mindset that the world, and if you have that mindset, then maybe you better off staying over there.
Right.
Because you gotta have people with you that you wanna see them grow. You wanna see their business.
Right.
My friend right now, and I'm giving him a shameless plug, and I tease with him, Vernon McCray with Big Brother Security, T-shirts, transports, and tea bags. You get whatever it is. He has his own transportation service. What does it take away from me to support his business and to make his business blow up and become a better business than what it is?
Right.
What did I lose?
Right.
It was not my vision, that's his vision.
Right.
I want to help his vision get to where it should be so he can turn around and turn that business over to his son or somebody else, and they can carry it on to the next level. To me, that's what the competition is about. That's what succession is about. That's what everything has been about: sharing wealth, sharing knowledge, sharing information, because we can't take none of it to the grave.
I agree. But now, so how does that crab in the bucket mentality play into that? Because we hear so often that we don't know how to support each other. We don't know how to, even for example, when I was getting ready to write the book, right? Of course, there were people who supported it and said, yeah, write the book, write the book, write the book. If you have an inkling or have been told to write the book, write the book. Then there were other people that said, writing a book ain't gonna make you no money. Like, why would you write a book? I wouldn't do it, da da. And it took for one person to say to me, the library is full of books. There are so many people who have written books. The library is full of books. The bookstores are full of books. Don't let somebody tell you that you shouldn't do something because somebody else did it. And I think we fall into that trap of not wanting somebody else to do what we've done. So you kind of start the competition instead of it becoming, oh, you wrote a book, I wrote one too. Let me help you. Let me tell you who my publisher was. Let me tell you how I did this. Let me give you some shortcuts. Maybe, it'll be beneficial to you authoring your book. Instead of somebody doing that, they would rather throw all kind of monkey wrenches in your situation to keep you from writing the book because they don't want you to do what they've done.
You got to switch the narrative and switch the script, because sometimes their negativity could be an opportunity to tap into the creativity that you never thought you had.
I agree.
So you tell me I've lived under the umbrella what I can't do all my life. I can't go, I can't graduate, I can't get I can't. And so I listen to it, but I turn around and say, I like when people count me out. I love it. I love it when they say I ain't gonna do, I can't do. I'm on the doorstep knocking on an opportunity that if you would have told me this many years ago, I would have believed you. But God has the way of taking that. Even doctors have had to step back and say, I apologize because I counted you out. I said that you wouldn't do.
Right.
But I don't let that negativity become an issue of negativity. I just tell them thank you for showing me the way that I should go, and I turn it into something. And it's tough. It ain't easy. I've sat here many days and cried tears, been upset because things wasn't going the way that I thought they should. Mm-hmm. But I bounced back because I have a resilient mindset, and I may be down for a minute, but I ain't never gonna be out.
Okay, so I have a question then.
Jesus.
Do you think that trust, the level of trust that we have with a person or people or an organization, whatever it is the level of trust a factor in how the competition goes from positive to negative? And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Say you start out with a person and you guys have a business idea. Now, that was something me and my friends talked about today. Pooling resources, sharing information, participating in trainings that will teach us what we need to know to do this thing together, whatever it is that we wanted to do. But all of us being capable and knowledgeable and receptive to information and sharing information and pooling resources. At the end of the day, pooling resources. Okay, so say you are with a group of people or a persons and y'all start that out that way. And then it's all good because it's healthy. This is healthy. We're pushing each other to do what we need to do to get to that level that we said we want to get to. But at some point in the transitioning or in the growing, you start to not trust the person. Now, because you're not feeling that confident about what they have going on or what they're telling you, or, are they being honest? Are they not? So now there's this trust issue. Can that possibly turn the competition unhealthy? Because now you're saying, I ain't sharing that with that person because I don't trust them. I don't trust he or she because they shady. They doing some little shady stuff, and I don't know if I can trust them with my livelihood or with, my information. So do you feel trust can turn healthy competition into unhealthy competition?
Trust will do, anything is always the backbone of everything. You gotta trust people, but you gotta trust yourself.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, you gotta trust yourself to, anything that grows is gonna change.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you grow apart, and sometimes you grow differently, and you have different ideas. And so sometimes part of the trust is having the painful conversation to say, okay, this is the plan that I had for this business originally. It seems as though we can't come together to agree on it. So instead of us falling out and losing our backbone of trust, maybe for this season, you go to the left and I go to the right. And if there's something that we need to split in the middle, investments, money, we can both, agree that I'm gonna give you your pot, you're gonna take your, and we're gonna go out. Because if you don't do that, then it'll become muddy, nasty,
Right.
and then, then name calling and finger pointing, and then it just gets carried away. But you just gotta be mature enough to say, hey, time out. I see this is not going that way, and that's not what the original blueprint, or maybe that was the blueprint and I missed the meeting that I didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was, let me know so we can say where we are. But if we can't come to that mutual agreement, instead of falling out and being adversarial and name, because it's gonna go to finger pointing,
Right.
name calling,
Right.
and then you're gonna not believe or trust the people. Let's just be mature enough to say, okay, we gonna stop it right here. And
Well, I do believe that at some point, like you said, as people grow and as they change, their roles change. Their life is lifing, and yours is too. And so sometimes it causes a shift in priority or a shift in vision or whatever the case. So you're right. At that point, then you need to start having the conversations. I do myself, though, welcome healthy competition. I believe that healthy competition pushes you. It kind of helps you to find out what your limit is when it comes to, how much strength do you have? How much perseverance do you have? How much integrity do you have? How much money do you have? Or, it just, to me, if everybody's on the same level and nobody's pushing anybody, nobody's causing some type of growth or competition, then that just a bunch of, that's like hamster wheeling, which is what I talked about last time too. However, we have to be very careful of not allowing the line to be crossed, where now we're lacking communication, which is first, and then there becomes a trust issue, or there becomes, like you said, the negative energy. And instead of being adult about it and being able to communicate and say, our visions have changed, or our direction has changed, and maybe this isn't working, we start, like you said, pointing fingers and backbiting and sneaking and doing stuff that we ain't got no business doing, and pulling out from behind instead of telling the person and leaving them hanging. So I agree with you. I believe that, we definitely have to communicate as adults. We have to communicate. When you see the competition becoming unhealthy, then it's time to have a conversation about it.
Well, when you see the competition becoming unhealthy, that means you haven't had enough conversations to kind of cut it off, because any true visionary avoids pitfalls, and you're gonna have them, but you always gotta have someone to say, look, before we get here, let's make sure we have talked about the what if factor. What if this happened? What if that happened? Where do we go? How do we handle this decision? And you just gotta be, what if we put all our money together to go buy a house, and then they come back and they take our money and we don't get the house, and we still, what do we do then? Do we?
Right. There needs to be a plan in place, in other words, for the what ifs, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's part of the meetings of the minds
I agree.
to come up with those decisions.
I agree. And I do believe, I honestly believe that our communities suffer because we don't do that. We don't have the what if meetings, we don't have the what if conversations. We never have a business plan, or we never have our strategies in place to cover all of those bases. It's like we kind of just sometimes will jump out there because, people are talking like they're all on the same plane. And then things happen and you find out later that we were not all on the same, and it's okay. It's like if we weren't, it's okay. But we gotta be adult about it and have conversation about it as opposed to falling out about it. Let's just have a conversation. I wish that our communities would do more pooling resources and more talking about business plans and competition, keeping it healthy, pushing each other, holding each other accountable, for, making sure if you say you're going to do A, B, and C to help this business grow, that's your lane. You need to do A, B, and C. While I'll be over here doing D, G, F, whatever in my lane, because we're all on the same team, and that's what it's about. I'm gonna push you. It's healthy. And you should not be upset with somebody who is creating healthy competition, but you just gotta know the difference. You have to know the difference between what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And that's plus, I agree. So anyway, all right, so again, do you know the difference between healthy competition and unhealthy competition? Because one is good and the other is stressful. If you find yourself, okay, so what if you say you found yourself in a situation, even me and you, for example, me and you, we can say we want to build something, we want to grow a business, and we say we come into the table and we're going to put all in with this business, whatever our all in is. And then once we get halfway through the process, I find out that you weren't honest about your all in. You didn't put in all in. You just told me that was all in. You made me think that was all in. But me and you, husband and wife, we can't just, it ain't like being friends and just saying, child, I'm cutting that off. I ain't gonna be bothered. I'm just take, there may be some losses, or maybe there's a way to just split and go on about our business. But in our situation where we're in this thing together, and we're gonna have to go to court and fight about what's mine and what's yours, how would you handle that situation? If you say you found out I wasn't honest and I wasn't all in, like I said, I turned the competition from healthy to.
I don't really foresee that being a major problem that we focus in on it. Simply because sometimes there has to be, I guess you can say most men.
I'm listening. I'm waiting for you to say what you say.
Most men, we think down the street and around the corner, where sometimes women think about right now. So if we think about right now, most men may build in something to say, okay, the business plan will cost us $20,000. That's something she didn't think about when we was talking about putting this all in, because all she was thinking about getting the brick and mortar and the fabric. but you gotta have a business plan, you gotta go to the lawyers and auditors, and you may have that started already.
Mhm.
So that's not necessarily saying that it's not all in, it's just saying that that's something that we went ahead and tried to get done, so when we get to that point, cause our all in is our all in.
So you're saying it's okay if a partner, a business partner holds out on some funds or
It's
does
not, it's not,
something
matter of
totally
fact,
different
it's
around
not holding
home?
out on the phones, what it is getting it done so it can be beneficial to the, but you have to bring it back to the table to say, listen, I know we put the 10,000 in to start this, and we got that started, but we forgot to do this over here. And I had went ahead and took care of it, not to come back to say, we gotta pay back that portion that we put up for the lawyers. It's already done because that's part of the process. So it's been taken care
So
of.
it's not something that you just hold out on, it's just for the incidentals or for things that we
For
forgot?
example, for something like, for example, I may be coming home from work and say, okay, I'm gonna get a salad. And then, so I say, okay, give me your $10 for the salad, I'm gonna get my $10 for the salad. But then on the way home, I may say, oh, we ain't got nothing to drink. I got an extra $3 or $5, let me go get those. It's not that you holding out, it's something that we get for us to benefit together. The holdout part comes if you just do something intentionally, maliciously, to say, I'm gonna go ahead and get this lawyer to do this because I don't trust Kiwani because she gonna mess around and go crazy. So I wanna make sure my ducks in a row. So all along, we building this, but over here on the side, I done made side arrangements.
Okay,
That's when
I
it's wrong.
got you.
That's when it's wrong.
I got you. And again, we're just talking about in terms of business here, but healthy competition doesn't have to be business related. Healthy competition can be anything. It could be physical competition, a race here and there, instead of helping the person, like trainers for athletes and stuff. That's when they push them, and when I've heard coaches when they, I don't know if I agree with it, but when coaches are out there yada 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 with these little kids on this football field and they talking real tough and violent and whatever, a lot of times we see that as a negative. But the mindset of the coach may be, I'm pushing this kid because I see the potential in this kid, and this kid needs to understand, whatever, and so it's healthy. Like, I'm trying to put them at a level of competition that is, whatever. I don't agree with the talking like that, but hey, I'm not a coach.
I did the coaching of that, and I know we get it because, again, you don't get the full record of the kid.
Right.
So you don't know if that kid got heart issues,
Well, they do
asthmatic.
physical now. They
But
should be out there. They got all the
that's
conditions.
It's not an in-depth physical, it's just, just a basic physical. So you really don't know what you got, and you really gotta remember, even dealing with coaching with kids, that's for entertainment purposes only.
Well,
That's
what it's supposed to be,
that's
but
what
it's
it's
not
supposed
what
to
it
be.
is.
And so
Because
they
we know
get,
for a fact that they have turned that thing
carried
into.
away to, you wanna,
That's just like now with this meal thing. These college athletes are now being paid for their image and likeness. Does that change the competition? Has that made the competition no longer healthy? Because now it's about money and, I just feel like there's so many things that can cause a situation to go from one to the other, because at one time you played these things because you enjoyed them and they were fun and you were just, you had the ability to do it really well and, the agility and the whatever. And now they've entered this platform or this thing of paying money. And so now, is it still fun? It has become more about how much money can I make, who's gonna pay me the most money, how many endorsements can I get? It's almost as if the competition is no longer healthy. It's becoming, this portal opens up and these kids can just transfer all around and go wherever they want. It changes the loyalty. It changes, it's just, I don't know if it's healthy. There's like this gray area in between healthy and unhealthy when it comes to how they handle these sports things now. But again,
I've never
some
agreed,
competition it can be healthy.
I never agree with the athlete getting paid, and that's just me.
Even pros?
I'm talking about on the college level.
Oh, okay.
I never agreed with it simply because you go to college with the understanding that I'm on the academic athletic scholarship. They got me here to play football, and I'm gonna get a
degree.
architectural degree.
Right.
So
Right.
I believe your
That's how the school
reward,
paid you.
your reward
degree.
is you stand on campus free, you eating free, and you getting a free education.
Okay.
That's your payment right there. Cause I don't have the luxury of playing basketball and football and like you do, but you got it. And then you get to travel.
Mhm.
You get a per diem to travel. They take care of your airfare, they take care of your hotel, and they give you a per diem to eat. So you getting paid, but I think we just reached a level of, greed.
Okay.
I want more because my name is bringing, your name ain't nothing. Your name is just your name, just like your social security number.
Right.
When you get to the pros, you will get your reward.
I think that word greed is the perfect, what's the word I'm looking for? It, to me, that determines, or that solidifies that line crossing between when the competition was once healthy and now it has become negative. So yeah, we have shared a lot and talked about a lot as it relates to healthy competition and unhealthy competition. And so I hope that you all have listened, picked up a nugget here and there. Hopefully you will start to look at things in a different light as it relates to what is considered healthy. Any situation that causes you stress, uneasiness, you see your mood changing, it's emotional, in a not so good way, all of that is related to something unhealthy. And so when you find it, when you recognize it, then you have to do something about it. Don't stay in situations that are causing a negative impact on your life. Healthy competition is good. Healthy competition pushes you to be your best you. It is not about anybody trying to make you feel bad or look bad. So we want you to know there is a difference between healthy competition and negative competition. When you determine that one is not good for you, change the narrative, change the environment, change the people, change the situation. Whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself out of that particular realm of negative competition. So thank you for joining us for today's Mouth Muscle with Team Murray. We love you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the videos so that others may hear and get a nugget. And we love you guys, and we'll see you next week for Mouth Muscle with Team Murray.